Brian Barrett was a 22-year-old part-time worker at a factory in Buffalo, New York, and a student at Buffalo State College. Quiet, well-liked, and hard-working, he spent much of his free time online. In 2006, he became involved in an online love triangle that ended in murder. Brian had taken a job at Dynabrade, an industrial tool manufacturer. There he met a man named Thomas Montgomery. Thomas was 47, married with 2 daughters, and lived a seemingly ordinary suburban life. But online, Thomas was living a fantasy. Using the screen name Marine Sniper, he posed as an 18-year-old soldier heading to Iraq. He struck up a relationship in a chat room with a woman going by the name Tall Hot Blonde, who said she was a young blonde teenager named Jessie from West Virginia. The two exchanged romantic messages for months. Jessie sent photos of herself, wrote love notes, and eventually began sending provocative pictures. Thomas, obsessed with the fantasy, fell deeper. His wife discovered the affair when she found letters and pictures that Jessie had mailed to their house. Furious, she contacted Jessie and exposed her husband's real identity. Jessie was enraged and cut off contact with Thomas. Meanwhile, Brian Barrett had also started chatting with Jessie online. Unlike Thomas, Brian was actually in his 20s and single. Jessie and Brian became close. When Thomas found out about their online connection, he was consumed by jealousy. He saw Brian not only as a romantic rival, but also as someone who had stolen his fantasy life. On the night of September 15, 2006, Brian finished his shift at Dynabrade and walked to his car in the parking lot. As he opened the door, 3 shots rang out. He was hit in the neck and arm and died at the scene. Police were immediately suspicious of Thomas Montgomery. They learned of the online drama and eventually found evidence tying him to the murder, including ballistic matches and search history. But there was another twist. Jessie, the woman both men had been obsessed with, was not who she claimed to be either. The photos and identity used online belonged to a real girl named Jessie, but the person chatting with Thomas and Brian was actually her mother, Mary Sheeler, a middle-aged woman who had used her daughter's pictures to create a false online persona. Mary had never informed her daughter about the deception. She manipulated both men, engaging them in flirtation and rivalry without fully understanding the consequences. When Brian was murdered, Mary quickly deleted messages and tried to vanish from the narrative. Thomas Montgomery was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. In 2007, he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Mary Sheeler was never charged with a crime. However, the emotional damage caused by her deception and manipulation was widely condemned. The case shocked the nation and was featured in a 2009 documentary titled Tall Hot Blonde, which explored the dark side of online relationships.